So today we are going to be talking specifically about supplementary fees, supplementary fees to parents, how you're implementing them, how you're going to be reporting them, and how you can utilize programs like ChildFriendly, who is joining us today to talk about all of the things they can do to support you in your operation. Make sure that you're compliant with all of the new regulations and rules around supplementary fees. So today we'll start. I'm Crystal Churcher. I am a childcare operator. I also am the chair for the Association of Childcare Entrepreneurs, both nationally and in Alberta. So very familiar with the new changes that we've seen on April 1st in Alberta. And, have been speaking a lot with different operators of different styles of programs to really understand how this is going to work for them and how they're implementing the supplementary fees. I'm hoping that we can bring a little bit of perspective, kind of operator to operator today and in future lunch and learns, just to have an open conversation about what's working for you as operators, what you need some support with, and kind of what support and resources are available to you to make your life as an operator easier. Today, we're going to be just going through the new agreement, through what supplementary fees are, and what they cover and what the reporting rules are around them and all of the different things that come with signing this new agreement in Alberta on April 1st. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with this, but I thought I would just put it up just so we can quickly run over it. Happy to answer questions around the new agreement, around the flat fee and everything that came with it at the end. We'll definitely save some time for that and just for discussion as well. But as of April 1st, we have a new childcare funding model in Alberta, a flat fee model that is $15 a day. Regardless of income, it is not a means-tested program. So if you are having full-time care, that works out to be $326.25 a month. Part-time care, $230 a month. Those are parent fees that are paid directly to you as operators from the parents. The rest of the money for your services comes through the Affordability Grant Program. And this money, this flat fee and the Affordability Grant Program are meant to cover your core funding. This is a big shift. This is something that is different than what we have experienced in Alberta prior to this agreement. And again, I'm super available to answering questions around this directly at the end that are specific to your center and your situation. But core funding really covers your regulatory requirements, your essential childcare services, basic programming like flight in your centers, and qualified, regulated, ratioed staff. So outside of your core funding, this is where we touch on the supplementary parent fees. So just a little bit of a definition of what supplementary parent fees are, and then what the rules are. I know that I've had a lot of operators reach out to me with questions around what are the reporting requirements, what do we do with these supplementary fees, how do we communicate this with the ministry, and we'll touch on that today here. And Wayne from ChildFriendly is here to show us how they can support in those reporting requirements as well. So supplementary fees are fees that you can charge as a childcare operator that are outside of the core costs. These are fees that you charge directly to parents. They have to be optional. These are big ones for you. They have to be optional. You have to clearly communicate them with parents, and parents must have the ability to choose whether or not to participate. So one way I've explained it with my center and my staff is that if we're offering a supplementary fee or a supplementary program to parents, there has to be a core option available. So if you are offering a supplementary meal service in your center, how are you going to support children who are not participating in that meal program? What is the core option, which would likely be bringing in outside or food from home to support them in their care with you? So these fees, again, are charged directly to families. You're going to have to administer the costs for them to watch an invoice for it, to make sure it's separated on your invoice. It's in addition to that flat monthly fee through the $15 a day program. So some of the rules around the supplementary parent fees, like I had mentioned, it has to be optional. Families have to have a really clear choice to opt in or out without any impact on the care that their child is receiving. You cannot break the routine of the child. You can't discriminate against families who are choosing to opt out of these services in your center. You are only able to charge certain kinds of programs under this umbrella, which we can go through in the next slide, but there's prohibited charges. You can't charge for extra operating costs. You can't charge equipment fees or things that would be included in the core cost of running your center. Again, clear communication, and I think this should always be front and center when you're working in childcare, is be super transparent in your communication. Let parents know when they're registering with you what the supplementary fees are, how they will be implemented, the costs, and how they can opt out of them if they need to. And then we have to touch on the reporting requirements. So you are required to report on these programs, reporting to the ministry, and we'll go through what that looks like here today for you. So this is directly from the government of Alberta. This is part of the packages that we all received as operators. And what it is it outlines the different optional services, the supplementary fee services, what you can charge for, what you can't charge for. The ones that seem to be very common right now are the meal programs in centers. I have seen some centers who are charging for field trips and transportation. The others are I'm finding very difficult for people to implement, and it totally depends on how you structured your program and what your range of fees are right now, and how many families maybe in your center or your region were receiving the subsidy as well. So some of the big things just to point out, and I'm sure many of you, if you've sat through any of the town halls with the ministry, have gone over this, but you have to make sure, again, that you're not showing preferential treatment to children or families. It has to be an optional thing, especially when you're registering families. It has to be an equal playing field where everybody has access to your program, regardless if they're opting into these programs or not. Right. So here's the reporting requirements. And this is, I find, where people have very little understanding of the reporting requirements around this new transformation of funding in our childcare centers. So all supplementary fees, again, have to be clearly documented. You're going to have to explain and document the type of fee. So is this something that you're charging for on a monthly basis? Is this something you're charging parents for annually, weekly, daily? How is it structured? And what is the fee amount going to be? The frequency of charge, again, is it daily, monthly, yearly, however you're going to structure it in your center, and how many children are actually enrolled or have opted into this supplementary service. So this is one where we're still kind of waiting on transparent information from the ministry exactly on the reporting. But we do, under our affordability grant agreements, have the requirement of reporting our supplementary fees within 30 days of signing our affordability grant agreement, which for some of us is going to be coming up pretty quickly here. And I would expect some communication from the minister shortly to make sure that we're all in compliance with this. But you would have to submit a detailed list of all of your optional services, all your supplementary services that you intend to charge for, what the fees are, what a description, what are you providing under that. So if you are charging families for a meal service, what does that look like? Is it 2 snacks and 1 meal? What's included? You'll have to have a full description of what that fee includes, the amount for that service, the frequency, and again, the number of children that have opted into this. You will also need to let the ministry know of any changes to these programs as you're moving forward. So you will have to give them notice, 30 days notice, of any changes. So if you're changing the fee, if you're changing what it includes, how what the frequency is of it, you will have to notify the ministry to make sure you're in compliance for these new programs. The annual reporting. So it's something, this is new. Again, this is a whole new program. But again, you'll have to just let the ministry know. And I would imagine this is going to be around the same time that you're doing your annual reporting for affordability grants. You'll be providing them with all the supplementary fees that you have charged for the year, any changes to those services, the total revenue that you generated from the supplementary fees, and the number of children who participated in each of the optional services. So this is really important for you to have the proper supports and tools in place to track this information throughout the year. The last thing you want to do is be sitting down to do your year end and realize that you haven't tracked the revenue from these supplementary fees. And now you're going backwards and you're trying to, scramble to get all the information you need to make sure that you can provide this annual reporting in a compliant and regulated way. That is something new that we all should be making sure that as we're implementing these programs April 1st, we are tracking this properly. We have all the information that we're going to need to make sure we report on it at the end of the year. All right, so this is the part where I get to introduce you guys to Wayne. Many of you have maybe met Wayne. Wayne is one of the programmers, onboarders, consultants with ChildFriendly. And they are hosting this Lunch and Learn with us today. They also have some amazing supports built into their software that are going to be the only ones, I think, in childcare software, right, Wayne, that can provide anything to do with Alberta regulations and these new reporting requirements. So I'll let you take over from here, Wayne.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you, Crystal. I'm just going to quickly show you guys how our platform can help, alleviate the pain of dealing with supplemental fees. Quickly show you what we can do on our platform. So I'm going to just take over the screen here for a second. So if you guys can see my screen, I'm just logged in on our platform right now. I'm going to quickly show you how we can make it easy to deal with charging supplemental parent fees on a monthly basis. So first, I have opened the ledger of a family on our platform. You can quickly see the balances sitting on the family's account, but let's quickly get down to how we can deal with these supplemental fees. First, I have an auto billing set up for the tuition for the family. In this instance, you can see I have split parents paying the $326.25 that is capped for the parent fees, and then the remainder to the Alberta Affordability Grant. Now, if I want to quickly adjust my recurring billing to capture the supplemental fees, I would scroll down. I can see that I've done a 50-50 split for the parents, but here is where you can change your supplemental parent fees very easily on our platform. All you have to do is click this plus icon here. In your program setup, you'll be able to add any type of supplemental fees, any type of discounts to any of your recurring tuition billing. So it's very simple. All you have to do is select what you have made. So in this case, the popular one being the meal service, I've just simply selected the meal service. I've defaulted an amount already in setup for this meal service. I want to assign it to whoever I would want to assign this meal service fee to. I can also put in the expiration date related to my meal service program as well. That can be captured and tracked. Simply click this save icon. What I'll be able to see now, if I scroll up, this auto billing summary provides a preview of what billing will occur for this family, and you can see that it very easily adds this meal service to the billing. I can then just very quickly generate this billing for this family and see that the meal service has been added quite easily to their invoice for this month. After that, once you have added all the families with the supplemental parent fees, we have a report that you can go to on our platform here, which we built specifically to deal with regulations. Just simply click the region reports, which will be all the Alberta specific reports we have when it comes to dealing with compliance. Click this region report, click this supplemental parent fees report here. You're able to select your own custom reporting period, but we've already defaulted in the reporting periods specific to the Alberta government on our platform. So I'm just going to pick one randomly just for demonstration's sake. Click apply, and you can see this now matches exactly what the government requires when it comes to the supplemental parent fees reporting. I can see the number of supplemental parent fee programs that I have on for this specific demo center that I created, and then I can also see the detail of all the children that are enrolled in this program. Very simply, you can just download this report, here, and then just print and sign and provide to the government as required. Thank you. That's just a very quick rundown of what we offer on our platform related to the supplemental fees. Thanks, Crystal.
That's great, Wayne. I have a question for you around that.
Sure.
So can you actually do an annual report like that with which shows the amount of revenue from that program?
The annual revenue related to the program. Yes, you can definitely generate a report. Oh, sorry about that. I muted myself. Yes, for sure. You can also
Okay.
run our claims report, which will give you the detailed breakdown of any supplemental fees related to the families. I forgot to show this other report that we also made related for licensing. And you can just simply run this claims record report. You can filter for the time periods that you would like, and then you'll be able to see the meal service breakdown here.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry about that.
All right. Oh, I'll go back and share my screen with you guys. Sorry, can you see?
Yes, your screen is showing. It
Okay,
was.
thanks. Thank you.
It,
Sorry, I am new
yeah,
to Teams. This has
no,
been a bit of
no,
an adventure for me.
no problem. Yeah, you're
So
good to
I
go.
think before we get into questions, I know there was a bit of confusion with the link today and some of you just jumped on. So we can absolutely go back and make sure that we cover the reporting requirements, any questions that you might have in a second. But I guess next steps, something we wanted to just make sure that we put out there. Obviously, there's always information at the Alberta Child Care government page around any changes to this, any reporting requirements. Hopefully your licensing officers are also providing you guys with up-to-date information and tools, but if not, you can always jump on a directors group or the ACE chat or AECEA, talk to other operators. You can join us here every other week on a lunch and learn around, operator to operator issues and questions. You can share with us kind of things you might want to see and us to cover, special guests that you might want us to have on here that we can have professionals come and talk to you over lunch and make sure that you have everything you need. But if you're interested in making your life easier as a childcare operator, less paperwork and less admin, you might want to jump on a demo with Wayne from ChildFriendly. For those of you who are unfamiliar with ChildFriendly, I'm probably not going to do this justice, Wayne, but ChildFriendly was developed by a childcare operator for childcare operators to make sure that it's compliant with Alberta regulations, with incident reports, with supplementary fee reports, claims, all of those things that make our lives a little bit difficult as operators. ChildFriendly has, really looked at trying to make it streamlined for us and make it easy and make sure that we are meeting the requirements under our contracts with the government. So I would encourage you to reach out to Wayne and to learn a little bit more about it and how it can help you. But I guess with that being said, I will just open it up to questions for you. Is there anything that anyone missed before you jumped onto the lunch and learn? Is there anything we didn't cover or anything you want to ask us around supplementary fees today? You can turn your mic on. You can put your camera on if you want. It's up to you. Is there anybody here that has used ChildFriendly to start inputting their supplementary fees for their programs? Is there anybody that is starting to track their supplementary fees or has supplementary fees that they're, maybe using a spreadsheet or something along those lines to make sure they meet these reporting requirements for the end of the year?
Hi, this is Jody from Scarborough Preschool.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, we obviously aren't going to have any supplemental fees, but I'm just wondering if Wayne can maybe share some contact information if we are interested in his service.
Absolutely.
Yes, for sure. I will drop my email in the chat and also send a follow-up contact. It would be good after the meeting as well. Thank you.
So we're going to be hosting these every other, what day of the week is it right now? Every other Wednesday? Every
Wednesday.
other Wednesday. Same time. We'll make sure that the link is a little bit easier for you guys. I know there was quite a few of you missing it in the chat today looking for it. I'll make sure it goes out maybe in our chat ahead of time too. Is there anything that you want to put forward for topics around anything to do with operating center that we could cover in like a half an hour window? That you feel like would be a value, that's something you want some support on, or we can bring some questions forward and make sure we get someone on the call to answer them for you.
The question that I had around a supplemental, just if a kid comes in, let's say mid-month, and how would that look child friendly to make sure that the reporting requirements are still good, or do you kind of have to wait until the beginning to let them opt in?
Do you mean more along the lines of like prorating the cost of that if they're coming?
Yes.
Okay.
How would that look in the software?
Sure. Wayne, are you able to answer that? Can you prorate it if the child is coming for half a month or something along those lines?
Yes. So what I was showing earlier, yeah, if you do prorate, unfortunately, the system cannot automatically calculate the proration for you, but you can definitely always override the amount of supplemental fees that before you run your billings for the month. So when I showed adding the fees, it defaulted to 100, but you can definitely override that amount before you run your monthly billing. So, but yeah, the system can't automatically calculate the proration, but you can just simply calculate and just put in the prorated amount.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. And then and it's sort of like done as a one-time override, where like the next month it would go automatically back to whatever that full fee is if they're opt-in, or do you need to remember to
Yeah, you need to just change it back, but then yeah, if you whatever you leave it as is what it'll stay as on a recurring basis. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Is there anything else before we wrap up from today? Does anyone want to go back through and see what the child-friendly supplementary fee reports look like? Just want to make sure that we're answering any questions and you have the resources before we log off for today.
Hi, this is Sevra from Richmond Daycare.
Hi, Cinda.
Hi. So I just have a question. So how often do we need to report the supplementary fees?
So you need to report them annually. You're going to need to do them just like you would your affordability grant kind of reporting at the end of your fiscal year. You're also going to need to do them 30 days, within 30 days of signing into this affordability grant. You'll have to send a report, and then you'll also have to report anytime you're changing them or making any adjustments to them.
Wonder what'll happen if they deny.
If they deny your supplementary fees?
Yeah. Like
yeah, we're having some of that come up in people's inboxes. So it's definitely something that you need to be aware of, that we're in a government funded program, so it does all have to be approved for funding through the government. But meal services and field trips seem to be the most accepted ones through the ministry at this time. I think if you're going outside of those kind of standards, transportation, field trips, and meals, and offering something else, then maybe you want to just run it by the ministry first, the department, just to make sure it gets approved, so there's no confusion around it before you send it out to parents. But I haven't had anyone come through our inbox around meals or transportation. It's been kind of outside of the box types of programs people might be trying to implement. I saw somebody was asking about seeing the supplementary report in their inbox from the government. I don't believe it's actually been sent out yet. So I think they're still trying to develop that communication for operators, which is why we're here to support you. And ChildFriendly has jumped ahead and made sure they have a report ready for you so that you can keep track of all of these things and be ready for when you do have to submit.
in the chat, someone said, I still can't find where to report my supplemental fee. Is that kind of answer back what you just said, right?
There's nowhere yet.
Cool.
Yeah, sorry guys. There's no transparent process yet for this, which is again why it's such a great opportunity to have a program like this in your center and be able to be ready so that you're not waiting and trying to go backwards and get all this information when the government is finally ready to accept it from you. So great. Is it last opportunity before we wrap up? I hope you were able to eat some lunch while you were sitting here with us. And I know that Wayne has put his contact in the chat for you to reach out. Is there anything else, Wayne, that you want to add about ChildFriendly before we go, that maybe some of the people here today may not know?
Yeah, sure. Just a little bit about our platform. Ours, as Crystal mentioned, ours is designed by and operated in Alberta. So when it comes to dealing with all your regulations, on our platform, we have many things, to deal with, say, the licensing inspection. Previously, we made reports to deal with the Alberta subsidy. And then, of course, our system also auto-calculates ratios to make sure that they're in compliance, and definitely very Alberta specific in terms of how it deals with that as well. So yeah,
great.
Pretty much it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing your lunch with us today, and for being patient as we got the link out to you all. If you have any questions, I've put contact in there for myself as well. You have Wayne's contact, and I hope that you have a great long weekend this weekend and a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thanks. Have a good day, guys. Bye.